Awesome. This might be a whole video with voiceover because it was beautiful. And I love it.
It's great.
Just beautiful.
Just after finishing filming for the Great Sand Dunes video, we went on this little hike up to Zapata Falls, and really we didn't know what we would encounter, so we didn't even film a proper intro. The hike is fairly short. This was around 8 o'clock in the morning, so it wasn't too hot yet. We are at elevation here, so if you ever go to Zapata Falls, this may be a little more strenuous if you're not used to this elevation. But it was gorgeous at 8 o'clock in the morning in September, and often we could turn around on the trail and see views of the Great Sand Dunes. So pretty. Yeah, nice. Hey. Hi. I had to stop and say hi to the couple and their dog, of course. Being mid-September, we weren't too surprised to see the river fairly low. We had tried to look up ahead of time what the conditions would be like, but you never quite know when you're up in the mountains like this. So when we got to this location, I looked up and thought, well, the waterfall may have already dried up, looking at the far chasm there. I wasn't quite sure. So I sent Steve up ahead to scout it out. I had so many thoughts in my head on our way up the trail and watching Steve walk up the river. I had read that you could actually walk under the waterfall, which was why I was so confused at this point. Where's the water? Clearly you can keep walking back there. Which brought up a memory of mine from several years before. I had gone through a very rough patch in my life and wasn't sure what was ahead for me. And all I kept thinking was, I'm standing behind a waterfall. Someday I'll be able to poke my head through all that water and see beyond to nice, clear day, beautiful running water, and the scenery. So my mind was busy envisioning being able to walk behind a waterfall and walk through it to make that vision a reality. Would it happen? Let's find out. Having watched Steve successfully navigate crossing the creek and going to the entrance to what to me looked like a cave and wave me in, I mounted the GoPro to my camera bag and started off across the creek. I was a little nervous. In my experience, wet rocks are very slippery rocks, and although this looks fairly shallow, it does not take much to drown your camera gear and ruin it completely. My heart was pumping trying to navigate this, keep the camera going, and stay on balance with that heavy bag. All the while, my feet are freezing as that cold mountain water seeped through my thin tennis shoes. We had to make our way across the river 3 or 4 times, sometimes in a calm location, sometimes with a little bit of rapid water and extra slippery rocks. And I looked around and tried to gauge the best route every time. And Steve was awesome in encouraging me as I went.
Consolation, my left foot is not waterproof.
Oh, and then the moment arrived. We came around the little corner and I could see the bottom part of the waterfall. Making our way as far back into this cave as we could take in the entire length of that waterfall as it cascaded over the top to a platform and down into this little pool. Now, keep in mind, GoPros make things look especially wide, and it looks very shallow in here. And it is fairly shallow, but again, very cold, and I did not want to drop anything into the water. And this cave area is actually pretty small too, so it was difficult to figure out where to put the camera. For some reason, Steve decided here to use the 70 to 200 millimeter lens, and I asked him later why he didn't trade for the wider angle lens we had in our bags. And he responded with, "We were so wrapped up in the awe of the moment and just being the only person back here, it didn't even occur to him to change lenses." When it was my turn to photograph, I didn't even bother with the tripod, which typically you should use a tripod for some of those smooth waterfall shots. We have a future video filmed for that, so make sure that you are subscribed and you like this video so you don't miss that episode as well. But from this far into the cave vantage point, I can see where people said they were able to get under the waterfall. You could walk through that pool, which was at least 2-3 feet deep at least, climb up on the slippery rocks and stand where the main part of the waterfall could fall on you. I was not about to do that, but it did not deter my excitement and my awe at this space. Although I didn't have the moment that I thought I would coming out from under the waterfall, the experience was so incredible that I felt rejuvenated and alive. For my photography here, I put a wide-angle lens on and steadied my camera on a rock to try to get those long exposures. Just kind of playing around. As with most journeys, the travel back down the river was much easier as we had an idea of the path we wanted to take. And we were so hyped up with excitement on what a cool experience it was.
Short and brutal.
Hiking back down the trail side by side with my incredible, adventurous, and goofy husband We just felt so in awe and grateful for these times together. If you had told me this several years ago when I was feeling like I was stuck behind a waterfall, that I would have these experiences today, I don't know if I'd believe you, but here it is. Here's the proof and the fun times and all of our goofy selfies at the end of the trail. And I just love this guy and I love this channel and I love sharing all of these adventures with you. So thank you so much for tuning in and going along with us.